So I was having a conversation the other day about the
best band ever.
And it occurred to me that I should pinpoint 10 reasons why Led Zeppelin is my favorite band. With recent events of becoming Led Zeppelin and the buzz generated by the film, I decided to give it a shot and share with you my thoughts on a band that keeps us coming back all these years later. Number 1. No concept albums. I know they're quintessential pieces in rock with creative storytelling, but my problem with these has always been the listening experience. It's always the same, meaning you sit your ass down and endure, in most cases, a double album worth of ideas that usually lose steam by the second vinyl, sides 3 and 4.
How dare you?
And don't hate me, fans of Genesis and The Who. I personally enjoy The Lamb and Quadrophenia, which I deem a much more powerful album than Tommy, but sometimes less is more. Usually carved in the mind of a neurotic bandmate, these albums lead to internal fractures and in some cases break the band from within. Concept albums can get preachy and borderline Broadway, and I hate musicals. At least Frank Zappa was poking fun at the industry and society with Joe's Garage. Led Zeppelin was concise without hurting the listening experience. They had concept pieces and overtures, but they knew where to stop. Now their double album Physical Graffiti put the band in jeopardy, as Jumple Jones left for a few months before coming back. Maybe it was the curse of the double album. You can check the making of Physical Graffiti here on the channel. Number 2. No political statements. Like Norm Macdonald said, what bothers me is the hypocrisy. Time and time again, it's cringeworthy to see political statement musicians turn into businessmen playing for the man, the corporation. Ideals of the 60s and songs that were supposed to give peace a chance turn into cash cow gimmicks for yuppie hypocrisy, or worse, political agendas driven by money. It's tiring to see old millionaire rock stars take sides with dictators, presidents, and social activists while profiting from their so-called revolution via greatest hits compilations. Not every musician had Frank Zappa's determination to sing Who Needs the Peace Corps in 1968. That's who he was, and he paid a price for it. But nothing changed and society only got worse. In the end, we remember legends for their music, not their opinions. Country Joe was political, but his music sucks. Led Zeppelin were in it for the money, with honest observations into the fundamentals of behavioral psychology and hot dogs. You may argue it's escapism through music, but isn't that the point? We put our headphones on and feel like Vikings.
Vikings making love.
They didn't pretend to change the world, they took it for what it was and gave it no quarter. The springtime of their loving, or every inch of their love. Number 3. Studio production. Like I said in my Making of Led Zeppelin 1 series, one of the band's greatest contributions remains Jimmy Page, the producer, a man whose vision elevated rock and roll albums as a sonic art form. Their records dignified the drum sound, making John Bonham the centerpiece, with all the elements built around him. The songs feel like events. They do not underestimate the listener. You can appreciate the time and care they put into the fine print, the small details most bands miss. Page's overdubs, Jones's counterpoint, Robert's character, the mandolins, the acoustic guitars, percussion, all of it. There's a reason it took me a while to get into Black Sabbath and Frank Zappa. It was down to the drum sound. I was missing the John Bonham 3D effect with string sections and passionate vocals that turned a simple listening experience into a movie and a lifetime obsession. Number 4. Mighty rearrangers. From turning an old blues number into their own mythological version to the way they approach different genres like masters at their craft. You can say what you want about their sources of inspiration, but the undeniable fact lies in the finished product. When the Levee Breaks, a recording milestone. In My Time of Dying, a visceral jam. Dazed and Confused, crushing the previous Yardbirds version to pieces. Same goes for the other first album highlights, Babe I'm Gonna Leave You, You Shook Me, and How Many More Times. 10 times better than the originals. There's also Trample Underfoot, turning a standard funk idea into groovacious bliss. The song remains the same, with Led Zeppelin's take on progressive rock, inspired by Yes sound in Roundabout, to the careful construction of Stairway to Heaven, a song that would have been ruined in the hands of just about every other band at the time. They never overplayed their instrumentals in the studio, always finding the perfect balance between musicianship and feel. Number 5. The business didn't rip them off. There are countless stories of bands getting screwed by the people they trusted the most. From the Beatles to the Stones, Elvis Presley, Grand Funk, Creedence, Jimi Hendrix, Deep Purple, Queen, you name it. Zeppelin was different. Their manager, Peter Grant, was like a father figure who protected them and was emotionally invested in the group. He truly believed in what they did. Add in a good relationship with Atlantic Records with a $200,000 advance back in 1968, not getting ripped off by greedy promoters, having a genius and loyal attorney, Steve Weiss, a commanding tour manager, Richard Cole, and Led Zeppelin pretty much dignified the musician's profession by not letting others take advantage of them, never mind a slice of the pie. They kept their hard-earned cash in their pockets. It's tough to fight for your rights, but it's almost impossible if the business is not on your side. Number 6. No figuring ourselves out albums. You know bands where they have what the faces in their catalogs? Most groups will talk about their debut albums as usually amateurs in the studio, catering to sound engineers or record executive guidelines. There's no waiting time with Zeppelin's discography. They knew what they wanted from the get-go. They didn't burn an album or two trying to find their sound. They had it from day one. And yet they took chances while never really losing their identities, which makes for a pleasant catalog experience when you sit down for a Zeppathon.
The Zeppathon is when you sit your ass down and listen to all 9 Zepp albums in a row.
There's really no Love Beach, Hot Space, nor Union in their discography. And don't get me started with Into the Outdoor. I own 64 copies of it, and they were leading the way into the 80s in style. Carus Alhambra speaks of innovation, and All My Love is one of the greatest songs of the 70s. Their discography usually sits in 2 camps. Those like my friend Jeffrey, who loves their first 4 albums, but has a tough time accepting the others. He's always surprised to know Houses of the Holy exists. And then there's the latter-day period fans, who are fed up with the first 4 and enjoy Presence as a single 44-minute track. Now many folks tend to discredit Coda, but even this one is a fitting drumming tribute to John Bonham, who steals the show. Nowadays it's hard to find Zeppelin albums in discount bins. And if you do, they're usually beat up copies because their previous owners did the right thing, play them non-stop. Number 7. No revolving doors nor multiple lineups. This is probably the stuff I hate most about other bands. I know they have to carry on to make money, but in most cases, lightning doesn't strike twice, thus sometimes creating superficial chemistry, which turns their catalog into a predictable hit-or-miss thing, or the Yes discography after 1994. Their family trees turn into dysfunctional organizations, or worse, they create ideological rivalries, such as Roth versus Hagar, and we all know which one is the greatest. Gabriel versus Collins, even though Mike Rutherford was the one who started the pop song trail in 1978. Howe versus Rabin, even though Rabin made them rich with 90125, and founding member Peter Banks was a vital piece for Ignition. Sabbath versus Sabbath, classic Santana versus everything Santana's done after 1972 when the Woodstock era lineup crumbled. Deep Purple Mark II versus everything Purple's done. The point is, it's hard to be a fan when a group goes through a nasty divorce and many step-parents come in. You just wish it was the same lineup, and in that regard, Led Zeppelin was a loyal family. They had their problems, but the song remained the same, start to finish. Even the Beatles had a different drummer before Ringo. People know him as best of the Beatles. Number 8. Live jam evolution of songs. Their concerts are a testament to their unique chemistry, where virtuosos like Yes stuck to the same script night after night. Not their fault, it's hard to jam with such ambitious pieces. Every Zeppelin show had lots of surprises, which is why they are one of the most bootleg bands in history. How their songs changed over the years is fascinating. Every tour was different, and you can spot specific arrangements accordingly. From the mysterious vibes of No Quarters extended piano improvisations to Dazed and Confused, a 6-minute studio version that morphed into 25, 30 and 40-minute runs, trying out new riffs, call and response segments, fusion meters, progressive rock textures, free jazz, you name it. The fact that Achilles Last Stand was born out of musical ideas from live Dazed and Confused jams says a lot about their proficient explorations. Oh yeah, and Holy Love was rearranged many times. You can watch my musical analysis episode here on the channel. Number 9. Bandmate evolution. So they went through several iconic stage designs and clothing over the years, but so did their musicianship and approach, where so many groups pretend to be the same band forever, overplaying solos and trying to be forever young. Zeppelin kept it real. I love the fact Jimmy Page wasn't playing the same lead guitar style throughout their 12-year existence, nor did Bonzo with his drumming chops. Page went from rapid-fire runs to stylized guitar lines and poetry. Bonham perfected the economy of movement while retaining his mighty power. Compare a 1969 show to 1980, and you'll find the natural evolution of musical maturity. Jumbo Jones's approach from a Fender sound to his live alembic-based metallic thunder speaks of changing times, never mind his keyboard arsenal. Robert Plant's explosive early-day high range morphed into the signature style he built a solo career on. The fact both Black Dog and Kashmir were sung by the same person is mind-blowing. Robert knew his instrument quite well. Number 10. No reunion tours. John Bonham's tragic passing stopped any plans for Led Zeppelin past 1980, but of course there's always the pressure from the business to come back in any shape or form. They played 4 reunion shows including Jason Bonham's wedding and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, but they never pretended to be Led Zeppelin as they were. We gotta thank Robert Plant for keeping a tight grip on reunions. It was the right thing to do. Yes, I know Page and Plant forgot Jones's phone number and toured the world in the mid-90s, but Plant pulled the plug at the right time in favor of his solo career. And yes, I'm also aware Page, Jones, and Jason auditioned singers in 2008 after Robert Plant shut down plans for a world tour past their O2 reunion show. But in the end, nobody carried on with the name Led Zeppelin, which protected the legacy where so many of their peers don't and go on with corporate and sometimes embarrassing versions of the idea. We can also speculate that surviving members are great money managers to avoid reunion cash grabs. Okay, I have 2 more reasons on my list. Number 11, not a festival daylight band. Look, I have a problem with modern day festivals, too many bands, huge crowds, and a slow realization there's no many strong headliners anymore. So back in the 70s, Led Zeppelin played some 14 real festival dates, including Bath 1970. It's no wonder most of these took place in the early part of their career. They didn't really need festivals where there were money problems with promoters, troubled logistics, gear malfunction, the list goes on. You can check my episode on why Zeppelin didn't play Woodstock. Now on to the daylight thing. They rarely played such an event, but stuck to sunset or nighttime shows when playing outdoors. There's something about the sun that takes some of the magic away of, say, No Quarter at Kezar Stadium 1973. Not sinister enough. And also their last US shows happened at Oakland 1977, so there's something bad about playing daylight. And reason number 12, and I have to say it, Led Zeppelin was better than Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell. I hope you enjoyed this list, and I can't wait to hear your personal reasons why you think Led Zeppelin is or isn't the greatest band of all time. Feel free to leave your comment, hit the like button, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye bye.